Chapter 2451, Stressful, 1. Now, Xiao Nan felt that it was time to liberate herself and liberate Ding Ji. To say it in a more selfish manner, with Ding Ji under such a living environment, regardless of if it was physical or mental issues, the person who would be troubled was still going to be Xiao Nan. Xiao Zijin would ignore Ding Ji while Xiao Dongliang would not have the ability to manage her. Being nice to Ding Ji could be considered to be creating less trouble for herself. From this angle, it was no longer a difficult or uncomfortable matter for Xiao Nan to treat Ding Ji better and provide her a new living environment. Then, Zai Sheng understood the meaning in Xiao Nan's words. He didn't rush to give Xiao Nan any opinions. Based on Xiao Nan's character, she would have made some arrangements since she had some thoughts. Didn't you buy the big house that Xiao Zijin sold? Although I don't really understand, I know that Ding Ji is the same as Xiao Zijin. Both of them like to stay in big houses. Ding Ji had spent quite a bit of effort for that house. Let her stay there then. That would provide Ding Ji with a better living environment and let her have the opportunity to know new neighbors. As such, Ding Ji didn't need to be bothered by her old neighbors. You can just decide this. After knowing that Xiao Nan suffered unequal treatment in the Xiao family, Zai Sheng bought the house without a second word once he heard that Xiao Zijin was going to sell it. After he got married to Xiao Nan, he transferred the ownership of the house to Xiao Nan's name. Zai Sheng was a man with few words. However, as long as he could do something, he would definitely complete it. It was only after marriage that Xiao Nan found out that the person who bought Xiao Zijin's house was actually Zai Sheng. After going in circles, this house was actually back in her own hands. Feeling Zai Sheng's sacrifice and love for her, Xiao Nan felt that there was nothing else in this world that was more touching than this. She felt that she had indeed not married the wrong man. Xiao Nan held Zai Sheng's strong waist firmly and spoke in a soft tone, which was similar to San Bao when she was acting like a spoiled child. Brother Zai, do you think there is next lifetime? Can I marry you once again then? Aside from Zai Sheng, she didn't want to marry anyone else. She also couldn't imagine how it was like to live with someone else. Sigh, she was pampered. Zai Sheng laughed. I'm not sure if there's a next lifetime. It's best if we have it. I feel that no matter how many lifetimes we have, we should never despise each other and just be together like this, lest we destroy others' fates. We can't do such immoral things. He would still get married to Nan Nan and give birth to children with her. However, he glanced at the triplets who were sleeping soundly on the bed in disdain. If not for having one child being the standard, he would have felt that it was one child too many and they should never have 3 children. Every time he wanted to cultivate his relationship with his wife, there would be 3 little light bulbs disturbing him. Zai Sheng felt extremely upset. He was going to be firm and follow the party's and country's direction of a single-child policy. From the start to the end, he only planned to let Nan Nan experience giving birth once since it was something painful and tough. Who knew that something was wrong with his marksmanship that he used to be proud of and they gave birth to 3 children in one go? As a father who had triplets but actually intended to only have one child, it was really hard to explain Zai Sheng's inner thoughts. He despised them too much. When others were envious of him for having 2 sons and a daughter, Zai Sheng often had the urge to pack his children up and send them away as gifts. It was a pity that Nan Nan and his parents were reluctant. If he really did so, he would be chased out by his entire family. Upon thinking about this, Zai Sheng couldn't help but give a long sigh. Xiao Nan couldn't help but laugh. Brother Zai, it will just be a few years. After primary school, the 3 children would spend less time at home. When they grow older, they would spread their wings and fly. How would they always be by our side? By then, she would only be left with Brother Zai. She would also always accompany him. Xiao Nan often felt that children grew up too quickly. In the blink of an eye, the 3 children had grown to a weight that she could barely carry. In another blink of an eye, the children would leave her for school. Upon thinking about these, Xiaonan would still complain that time passed by too quickly. It was so difficult for her to give birth to 3 children. Why was it that in the blink of an eye, her 3 children were going to leave her and fly toward a world of their own? What Xiaonan didn't expect was that in reality, Zai Sheng despised their 3 children. Different from her hope that the children would grow up slower, the old man in her family couldn't wait for them to grow up into adults quickly. Then, they could just get married, form their own families, and lead their own lives. The 2 of them could just take care of themselves and didn't need them to worry about them. A daughter was the father's little lover in his previous life. A daughter was like a padded jacket which warmed him up. Brother Zai was already thinking of ways to send San Bao away. He had no intention to be jealous of his son-in-law who was going to snatch his daughter away from him or stop his daughter from marrying. Sigh. The 3 children who were sound asleep didn't feel Zai Sheng's disdain toward them. San Bao was even sucking her thumb as if she had dreamed of something delicious. After comforting Zai Sheng's heart, Xiaonan lay down comfortably and slept peacefully. Aside from Xiaonan's warm voice, what made Zai Sheng happier was that when they returned to the Zai family's house to stay, the 3 children still found the Zai family's house to be more familiar as compared to the times when they were living in the mountains. Under a familiar environment, the 3 children no longer requested to sleep in between their parents so that they could feel safe. As such, the unscrupulous father, Zai Sheng, expressed that the 3 children could sleep on one side and the 2 of them could sleep on the other. Without the 3 children in the middle being in the way, it wasn't that inconvenient as before for Zai Sheng to hug his wife to sleep. A real good sleep was to hug his wife to sleep. Understand? The next day, Zai Hua fetched Jia home from school. Initially, Jia didn't feel anything. When she stepped into the house and heard the sound of children, Jia turned and looked at Zai Hua, dumbfounded. Mom! Since when do we have children at home? Chapter 2452, Stressful, 2. Jia liked younger siblings. However, she only liked those from her family. She wasn't passionate about other children. It was precisely because of this, and coupled with the fact that Jia was a high school student, that Zai Hua never let anyone with children come over, lest they brought their children along and disturbed Jia studying. This was the tacit understanding between the mother-daughter pair. Jia believed that if there was no other reason, her mom shouldn't break this tacit understanding. Go in and take a look. Zai Hua gave a bad smile. Jia had an inexplicable look. However, after listening to Zai Hua's words, she walked in. Without waiting for Jia to see clearly, a short figure ran toward her and hugged her thigh. Sister Jia, hug. Kiss. San Bao. Surprised, Jia shouted. Then, she rubbed her eyes hard. Was she hallucinating as she missed her young siblings too much? San Bao twisted her body. Hug. Kiss. As for carrying her, that was better left to her dad. It's really San Bao. The warm and fuzzy feeling on her thigh wouldn't be wrong. Jia squatted, hugged San Bao's fleshy body, and kissed her on the face twice. San Bao, when did you come here? Why didn't you let me know? San Bao tilted her head and her 2 braids moved. I don't remember. She didn't remember when she went there. She only knew that she seemed to be there for a long time. There was no choice. Children at San Bao's age had no concept of time at all. It wasn't important. What was more important was that Jia could see her favorite and cute younger siblings when she reached home. She was so happy. San Bao, let's go to my room. I've prepared a lot of pretty dresses for you. Yes. San Bao nodded and obediently let Jia hold her hand. She would go wherever Jia wanted her to go. Jia liked her even more because of her obedience. Zai Hua was jealous. One was her own daughter and the other was her youngest niece. Zai Hua didn't know who she should be jealous of more. She knew that her daughter didn't listen to her words and her niece despised her kisses. However, these two played very well with each other. Was she that detestable? Those were just thoughts. It was impossible for Zihua to be calculative with her daughter and niece because of these trivial matters. Seeing that Jiajia brought Sanbao away, Qiaonan said to Zihua helplessly, "Sister Zihua, I know you're doing business recently. It's not hard for you to earn money. However, it's better to cherish things more. Don't you think so?" Speaking of Sanbao's clothes, Qiaonan had a headache. It was difficult for her to have a daughter. Qiaonan also wished to dress Sanbao up beautifully, so she was willing to buy small clothes and dresses. It was just that Qiaonan's accustomed consumption habits didn't allow her to accumulate too many goods. Moreover, the triplets were just 2 years old. They would change as they grew older. They might not be able to wear the clothes that were bought this year in the second half of the year, let alone next year. As such, Qiaonan usually just prepared 3 or 4 outfits for Sanbao per season, and she felt that this was more than enough. Qiaonan had self-control, but Miaojing didn't. Zai Yaoi's retirement salary was all in Miaojing's hands. These two elders weren't lacking money. As such, Miaojing liked to keep buying things. Among the 3 children, Sanbao became Miaojing's focal point. After realizing her mother-in-law, Miaojing, was quite a spendthrift, Qiaonan became smart and stopped buying clothes herself, lest there were new clothes that Sanbao had not even worn before as she had outgrown them. Who knew that after thinking of ways to control the one at home, there was a Jiajia far away in Pingcheng who couldn't control herself. What troubled Qiaonan was that Zihua didn't pamper Jiajia in an ordinary way. Jiajia was a high school student. Where would she have so much money? Wasn't it all Zihua's money that Jiajia used to buy clothes for Sanbao? She obviously knew that Jiajia was a shopaholic. However, she still gave her the money freely. If Sanbao wasn't her biological daughter, she really wanted to say that since they wanted to waste money, they might as well do good deeds with her together. Sanbao had so many clothes that she couldn't wear them all. Those children in the mountains didn't even have winter wear. Qiaonan, who had just learned about the children's situation in the mountains, had a headache when she saw the current situation. She resented Zihua for spoiling Jiajia too much. She had to cultivate Jiajia's consumption habits. Zihua laughed. "You're happy that Jiajia spent money on your daughter, right? Do you know what Jiajia got me for Mother's Day? A shirt." Zihua liked the Mother's Day present her daughter gave her. She especially liked it since it was a white shirt. The problem was that among the bags Jiajia was holding at that time, only one was for herself. The others were prepared for the 3 children. Since it was Mother's Day, shouldn't she be Jiajia's main target audience? Once she saw the difference in bags, Zihua felt that perhaps she was a tag-along. She was really sad. Others moved their mouths but not their hands. Zihua didn't even move her mouth when it came to Jiajia. What else could Qiaonan say? Well, as long as Zihua and Jiajia were happy. Sanbao wasn't the only one who was abducted by Jiajia. Very quickly, Dabao and Erbao were taken away by Jiajia as well. Undoubtedly, Jiajia bought the most things for Sanbao. However, she had never forgotten Dabao and Erbao, her 2 cute younger brothers. She bought them little overalls, little hats, and little toy cars. To be honest, Jiajia bought a lot of things. Thankfully, Zihua brought Jiajia back to the Zai family. Otherwise, based on Jiajia's ability to stock things up, things would have to be piled until there was nowhere to put them. Jiajia knew that Qiaonan had something to do when she came to Pingcheng. She also knew that she was about done and would return to the capital the next day after letting her younger siblings play with her today. Jiajia felt a little regretful but knew that this wasn't bad either. Even if her younger siblings didn't return to the capital, she had to go back to school to continue studying. It was all right. When the winter vacation was here, she would at least have 7 days and could go to the capital to play with them. Even during the winter vacation, Zihua would bring Jiajia back to her family in the capital to celebrate the new year together. To Jiajia, the new year atmosphere was very strong until now, and it was worth looking forward to. On this day, Zihua continued doing business while Qiaonan and Zisheng acted as the parents of 4 children and brought them out to play. Chapter 2453, Stressful, 3. Because she was playing with her younger siblings, Jiajia was over the moon even while riding a childish ride like the carousel. Even after nightfall, Jiajia seemed not to have had enough fun and was even crazier than the triplets. Jiajia will bring you here again next time. The triplets nodded adorably. Sister, you must bring us here again. Qiaonan reminded her. Jiajia, when you go back, don't forget to do your homework. If your results fall behind again, your mom won't bring you to the capital for your winter vacation. All right, Auntie. Jiajia didn't rebuke her. Even the mention of her studies didn't annoy her as she held her siblings' chubby and tender hands. Sigh. It was really relaxing being with her siblings. All those pent-up negative emotions she had from school disappeared in a moment. The best way of decompressing was spending time with her siblings. Auntie, do you know how crazy people in school are? Isn't this just a college entrance examination? We still have half a year to go. There's no need to be so worried. Committing suicide? I don't understand. Even if we fail the college entrance examination, our lives won't come to an end. Our futures are dependent on this college entrance examination alone. Qiaonan was shocked. Do you mean that there are third-year students who are thinking of committing suicide? That was a huge problem. Jiajia nodded gloomily. Yes, she said that she feels very pressured because she didn't score well in the past 2 examinations, and her parents got mad at her. Now, she gets headaches from studying, and doing just one problem sum makes her dizzy. She said she couldn't do this anymore. Although the teacher managed to convince her to get back down in the end, I think that this won't be the end. That student isn't in a very good condition now. Initially, Jiajia had not thought much about it. More than a year ago, with Qiaonan's help and guidance, nothing fazed Jiajia anymore, not even the English questions that used to boggle her. In the end, Jiajia had also chosen to listen to Qiaonan's advice to choose to specialize in English. Because of that, Jiajia's burden had been greatly relieved. She didn't feel pressured because of her own studies, but because of her classmates. What a terrible situation to be in. It was because of this classmate's situation that Jiajia's emotions had gotten slightly unstable. Because of that, she had overthought things and created worries out of nothing. Jiajia had only dared to tell Qiaonan about this matter because the family of 5 had come over and she had spent time playing with the 3 children. Otherwise, she would never have told Zihua about how her classmate had tried to commit suicide over stress from school. The teachers in school had asked everyone to keep it a secret and had instructed them not to discuss the matter any further for fear that it would put more pressure on that classmate. They had managed to convince her not to jump after much difficulty. It would be terrible if the pressure from everyone else caused her to jump again. Since her teachers had said so, Jiajia naturally remained mum about it. But she had finally been unable to keep it in anymore and could not help but mention it to Qiaonan. Are you sure that student wanted to commit suicide only because of the stress from school? How are her relationships with other students? Do other students bully her? Has she faced any other problems apart from her studies? Qiaonan was very anxious. In her previous life, she had been a lecturer at Peking University and knew that students with suicidal tendencies tended to have many other problems plaguing them. Whether it was for Jiajia's sake or for the sake of other third-year students, Qiaonan felt that she had to be concerned about this matter. It could be that that student was facing other troubles. Jiajia, are you close to that student? Have you talked to her? No, Jiajia shook her head. I only became classmates with her after choosing my stream. She's very beautiful, but I can't get along with her. We're normal classmates, but we don't really talk. After all, Jiajia's temper was similar to Zihua's, aggressive and fiery. After Zihua's divorce from Weida and leaving the Wei family, Jiajia had gradually lost her sensitive side. Not only was that beautiful classmate a typical demure young lady, but she also spoke softly and was very slow in her actions. Jiajia had heard that there were many boys, even those from other classes, who liked this girl. In an era where savage girlfriends were common, it was not easy to find such a gentle girl. When boys met Jiajia, their feelings usually developed until they became friends as close as brothers. That was why they had told Jiajia about those thoughts. After learning about that, Jiajia had not purposely tried to be mean to the girl. However, it was only natural for the two of them to be distant because of their different personalities. To put it nicely, they were simply classmates. Jiajia, you do remember what career your uncle has and what your mom's greatest regret is, don't you? Didn't you say that you want to be a soldier? What I want to tell you is that no matter what status you have, you shouldn't pick a time to uphold justice or protect the weak. The moment she heard about that young lady with suicidal thoughts, Xiaonan couldn't help but worry. Sometimes, it's necessary to show some concern toward your classmates. Besides, you're a girl. You need close male friends, but female friends are even more indispensable. Jiajia gave it some thought and nodded in agreement. I understand. Perhaps, I should have done more in the past. I wouldn't have realized it if not for your reminder. I'm not close to her, but it seems like other girls aren't close to her either. She always attends lessons and eats alone. No one was a loner by nature. Could there be something more to this that she didn't know? Xiaonan could only provide this advice. As for whatever followed, she believed that Jiajia would handle it well on her own. The next day, Zai Sheng brought his wife and children back to the capital, while Jiajia returned to school. If this had been the past, Jiajia would definitely have been reluctant to part with her younger siblings. She would even have applied for an hour's leave to send them off at the airport before returning to school. But because of her conversation with Xiaonan the previous day, Jiajia was calm and collected for the first time. After her uncle's family left, she made her way to school somberly. In the face of such a situation, Zihua had the urge to ask Xiaonan if she had educated Jiajia behind her back again. Chapter 2454. Keeping a close watch, 1. Besides, Xiaonan seemed to have told Jiajia something this time, causing her daughter to act strangely. Sigh. Her daughter was all grown up. She couldn't control her anymore. The family of 5 returned to the capital, and because Miaojing had missed them so much, she refused to let go of her granddaughter the moment she carried her. She paid no heed to how her granddaughter now weighed quite a bit and how her arms had started to ache after carrying her for a while. Seeing how over-the-top Miaojing was acting, Zai Yaowai couldn't help but laugh. I won't care about the two of you, but it's better if you don't bring the triplets out too much while they're still young. Your mom almost went crazy thinking about them. When they grew older, Zai Yaowai wouldn't prevent them from going out to train themselves. But they were still young and he could still use their young age as an excuse. If all else fails, pick somewhere nearby and bring your mom along. That was Zai Yaowai's compromise. Zai Sheng and Xiaonan were speechless upon hearing these words. Was it necessary to exaggerate it so much? But looking again at Miaojing carrying the 3 children and cooing to them, Zai Sheng and Xiaonan understood that that had not been much of an exaggeration. After returning home, Sanbao remained in Miaojing's arms and refused to get down. Grandma, I missed you. I missed Grandpa too. The 3 children were clever and could tell that their grandparents were the true bosses in the family. No matter how fierce their father was, he would always have to listen to their grandparents. So, coaxing them was very necessary. Grandma's darling Sanbao. Grandma missed you guys too. Grandma missed you so much that I couldn't even sleep or eat well. Sigh, that feeling was not something Miaojing wanted to experience ever again. She would much rather suffer a little and follow her son and daughter-in-law around the world than wait around at home. Time passed so slowly at home while waiting. To Miaojing, taking a flight didn't mean much. In her youth, Miaojing had spent much of her time taking all sorts of vehicles for the sake of her husband, Zai Yaowai. Since she had been able to do it in the past, there was no reason for her not to be able to do so anymore. Thinking about how she had always flown around in the past, Miaojing was confident in herself. Shall Grandma follow the three of you wherever you go in the future? Sanbao didn't know much and only knew that her grandma was going along with her. She clapped her hands together happily. Together. Together with Grandma. Their grandma was better than their auntie. With their grandma around, their father and auntie wouldn't bully them anymore. The three children understood that they had no rights, nor would anyone listen to them because of their young age. But as long as their grandma or grandpa was around, no adults would dare to bully them. Shall Grandma sleep with you tonight? Miaojing hugged the fragrant Sanbao while caressing Bao's chubby face. Then, she gazed at Dabao and Zai Yaowai's arms. Her eyes moved around busily. Yes, a family had to have children to be a family. Look how lively the house had become once the children had returned. Her eyes were so busy and she didn't know where to look. But being busy in this manner made Miaojing elated. She never wanted to be away from her grandchildren ever again. What about Grandpa? Bao looked toward Zai Yaowai. Grandma with Grandpa. Mom with Dad. The three of them were the only poor things who had no one to keep them company. Miaojing laughed. Your grandpa's all grown up and won't have nightmares at night. He doesn't need Grandma around. Grandma will sleep with you three tonight. That old man was not as attractive as her fragrant and chubby grandchildren. No one would be able to stop Miaojing from sleeping with the children tonight. Having been abandoned by Miaojing, Zai Yaowai glanced angrily at Zai Sheng, seeming to say, your children snatched your wife, and now, they're snatching mine? You'd better discipline your children. Zai Sheng was already hugging his wife and would not be disturbed tonight. This had nothing to do with him anymore. He wanted to have a nightlife with Nan Nan but was always disturbed by the three rascals. He was their father, but his father was the children's grandpa. If he was that capable, his father should deal with the three of them. He wouldn't interfere in that. Zai Sheng knew that if he were to interfere, the three children might very throw a tantrum. Then, he would be the one sleeping without his wife tonight. It was just too bad for him. It wasn't a bad idea for his mom to accompany the children while Zai Yaowai slept alone. This way, Zai Yaowai could have some peace and quiet and a good rest. It was such a beneficial situation for everyone. He had better not ruin it. Because they had been away for a long period of time, Zai Sheng seemed not to have had a proper couple life with Xiao Nan for a long time. If he chose to keep the children by his side tonight even when there was such a good opportunity, he would not be a normal man. Xiao Nan had no idea about what was going on in this man's brain. Otherwise, she would definitely have taken her mother-in-law's stand and chosen to sleep with the children instead of her husband, who was only thinking about how to bully her. When Xiao Nan figured out Zai Sheng's plans, it was already too late. The next day, Xiao Nan supported her hip and got off the bed with much difficulty. He was almost 50, and yet, he was still so full of life. Was that logical? It felt as though her husband was on drugs. The ox that plowed the land wasn't tired and instead got livelier as he worked. The problem was that the land the ox was plowing was about to be destroyed. Was the situation between her and Zai Sheng reversed? Mom, Bao smiled and ran toward Xiao Nan, wanting her to carry him. After returning home, it was not just Zai Sheng who had let himself go. Even the three children seemed to have gotten extra energetic. Chapter 2455, Keeping a Close Watch, 2. They went to bed early last night and woke up early this morning. They were very happy to be running around in their favorite house. The three children might not understand what was meant by there was no place like home. However, they already developed such a feeling. Run slower. Upon seeing her chubby son run toward her, Xiao Nan frowned uncomfortably. This wasn't the first time that she felt physically uncomfortable after being bullied by Zai Sheng the night before. It was as if the muscles on her body were pieced back together after being removed. It hurt so badly that Xiao Nan didn't want to say anything. No running. Zai Sheng stopped his chubby son midway so that Bao wouldn't hurt Xiao Nan. Haven't I told you before that mom's not feeling well and you have to be obedient and not tire her? Xiao Nan twitched her lips. Who was the one who tired her? How dare Brother Zai say such shameless things to Bao? Bao tilted his head as if thinking about his dad's words. After a while, Bao said, Bao's obedient and slept early. Mom's not tired. Dad's naughty, so mom's tired. How were they disobedient? They didn't tire their mom. In this family, their dad was the most cheeky and mischievous. He always didn't listen to their mom's words. As such, it must be their dad's fault that their mom was tired. How would Bao know that his logical behavior coincidentally explained a certain fact? The problem was that he was too young at that time. How would he know that there was some truth to his words? However, based on his dad's shameless performance, it wasn't overboard for him to say or do anything. Xiao Nan blushed and she couldn't help but pinch Zai Sheng's waist. It was just that Zai Sheng had trained his body too well. The meat on the inner side of the waist should obviously be soft and easy to pinch. However, everything on Zai Sheng's body was hard. Based on this figure, Xiao Nan could understand why Zai Sheng always treated her like a fish to be flipped over and tormented her to death. As an old man who was almost 50 years old, was it really alright for Zai Sheng to have such strong desires? Wouldn't it hurt for him? Xiao Nan didn't know that not only was the age of women a secret but that age was sometimes also an untouchable topic for men. Didn't Zai Sheng know that he was close to 50 years old? Others were already laughing at Zai Sheng for having triplets at such an old age. Women were not the only ones who minded when others said that they were old. Men would too. After being married to Xiao Nan for a few years, others were already saying that he was old. As a man, he had to fight for his face. Furthermore, Zai Sheng really didn't think that he paled in comparison to a young lad in his 20s. His strength was greater and his figure was better. When it came to physical fitness, he would definitely not lose. As a husband, he could satisfy his wife's needs fully. He was physically fit and his inventory of more than 40 years was sufficient. If not for his sufficient inventory, how would he have the ability to get Xiao Nan pregnant with triplets with just one attempt? Zai Sheng could be proud of his physical fitness. Don't pinch. Your hand will hurt. He grabbed Xiao Nan's hand on his waist and kissed it. He didn't care if Bao, whom he was carrying, saw it. You can't touch a man's waist casually. At least, my waist is very sensitive. It's easy for issues to happen. When they were in bed, as long as Nan's hands touched his waist, he would become very agitated. Such agitation wasn't suitable in broad daylight. They had to wait until night. Also, based on the situation yesterday, he felt that Xiao Nan needed some rest before she could withstand his agitation again. An imaginary row of black lines appeared on Xiao Nan's forehead. She realized that she suddenly didn't want to talk to the dirty-minded Zai Sheng. Bao's here. It was better for him to remain silent than spout nonsense. Didn't he know that this would teach the children badly? Bao blinked and wanted to put his outstretched hand into his mouth to chew. What were his dad and mom talking about? Why didn't he understand a single word of it? The young Bao didn't understand the secret words between his parents. He only faintly felt that the atmosphere between them was strange. It was unknown why his mom was blushing. Mom, carry me. Bao leaned his body toward Xiao Nan. Yes, his dad's embrace was not as comfortable as her mom's. Xiao Nan carried Bao and sat down. Bao, we'll let Grandma send the three of you to school tomorrow, all right? Upon thinking about the playmates and teachers, Bao smiled. Okay. Bao misses them. He missed his classmates and teachers. Even if there were Da Bao and San Bao at home to play together with him, there were more playmates in school. There were also more toys and a bigger space. It was more fun there. The young Bao didn't know what atmosphere was. He knew that with his classmates and teachers, and especially with Da Bao and San Bao by his side, he was happy every day. He kept smiling and felt good inside. Upon seeing Bao's happy look, there was nothing more that Xiaonan was worried about. Initially, Xiaonan was a little hesitant. She didn't know if the triplets would forget everything about school as they hadn't been back for a week and would be repulsive of school life, just like how they were on their first day. Thankfully, their Bao had a great memory. Not only did he remember about early childhood school, but he also wasn't unfamiliar with the playmates there. Bao twisted his body and got down from Xiaonan's thigh. Go and tell Da Bao and San Bao that you are going to school tomorrow. As she said this, Bao rushed into the games room happily. His joyful look made Xiaonan feel the three children's love for school. What a silly child! He likes school so much now. When he knows that grades would be compared in the future, would the three children be so happy at the mention of school like today? Zai Sheng was not worried for his three children at all. They love studying. No matter what they want to learn, we will provide for it. If there are one or two children who don't like to study like Zai Hua and aren't smart enough, that's easy. Just throw them into the army. There were so many people in the army. They could keep a close watch on the triplets. If they wanted to bring their attitude to the army, wait and see. There would be a bunch of veterans waiting to take care of them. Chapter 2456, Keeping a Close Watch, 3. Such things are not considered far away. However, it would take at least a few years before we reach that stage. Whatever the situation of the children would be, let's have the same attitude. We won't force them or put ourselves in a difficult spot. Nan, do you think this works? Yes. Xiaonan nodded. Xiaonan couldn't agree more with the viewpoint of letting children develop themselves freely. What happened to her as a child would remain that way. She wouldn't have any special demands of her three children just because of her childhood experiences. If the children loved to learn just like in her dream, she would naturally raise her hands and feet in support. However, if the children were not talented in this aspect, Xiaonan wasn't willing to force them. Didn't they say that every trade has its master? It was most important that their children liked what they were doing. Xiaonan strongly believed that their children wouldn't be led astray. As long as this was confirmed, Xiaonan wouldn't have any strong demands on their three children's future development plans. Mom, wake up! It's time to go to school. The next day, it wasn't Xiaonan who asked the three children to wake up. It was the three children who asked Xiaonan, who had similarly not rested well the previous night, to wake up. Mom, send us to school. School. They had promised to let their grandma send them to school yesterday. However, after one night, the three children changed their minds and insisted that their mom sent them to school as well. Otherwise, they would be unhappy. As she rubbed her aching waist, Xiaonan opened her eyes with great difficulty. Don't be noisy. Let me wash my face and I'll send you to school, all right? Yes. Mom, hurry up. After waking their mom up, San Bao immediately ran out to find her grandma for breakfast. Xiaonan yawned. In order to refresh herself, she washed her face with cold water. Only then did her confused mind become clearer. When Xiaonan came downstairs, Miaojing had already finished feeding the three children breakfast. Miaojing was both angry and amused. Nan, Zai Sheng's stubborn. Our three babies have the exact same temper as their father. You don't even indulge in these three children. Don't be too soft-hearted when it comes to Zai Sheng. She knew that Zai Sheng slept late the night he got married to Xiaonan. What Miaojing didn't expect was that although his son was no longer young, his mental and physical strength didn't pale in comparison at all. He was like a young lad in his 20s and was too impulsive. As a mother and mother-in-law, it wasn't good for her to interfere in this matter. It was just that seeing her son being a hooligan, Miaojing felt heartache that Jiaonan was suffering. Zai Sheng had the stamina, but he had to consider if Jiaonan could bear his energetic self. Jiaonan blushed and didn't want to say anything else. She couldn't possibly say to her mother-in-law, "How would you not know how your son is like? How was it that the children had the same temper as their father?" The father definitely had a stronger temper. If the three children had anything, as long as Jiaonan persuaded and coaxed them well, they would listen to Jiaonan's words and not create trouble for her, causing her a headache. However, if the same situation were to happen to Zai Sheng, it would be a totally different matter. It was unknown if he had held it back for too long. In front of others, Zai Sheng seemed to be someone easy to discuss matters with and listened to his wife's words well. However, in bed, there was no room for negotiation. He didn't listen to anything Jiaonan said. What Jiaonan couldn't understand was that her physical strength shouldn't be as good. For some reason, although her performance wasn't as expressive as Zai Sheng's, it wasn't particularly weak either. Jiaonan couldn't help but doubt if her performance in bed was getting better. When she just got married to Zai Sheng, she would feel faint within an hour. Seeing that her daughter-in-law looked confused, Miaojing held it back. In the end, she decided not to tell the truth to Jiaonan, lest she became shy after finding out. Jiaonan always knew that the status of the Zai family was extraordinary. However, she didn't have any specific feelings about it. Jiaonan didn't, but it didn't mean that the other members of the Zai family didn't. There were doctors in the country who would perform health checks on Zai Yaowai, Miaojing, and Zai Sheng once in a while. They were also not stingy and would send some useful medical prescriptions for health preservation to the Zai family. After Jiaonan married Zai Sheng, he placed a lot of importance on this. He knew that Jiaonan didn't lead a good life in the Chiao family and her body was extraordinarily weak. After marriage, before Jiaonan gave birth and after giving birth, Zai Sheng specially got an expert to prepare a menu and recipe for Jiaonan. It was also because Jiaonan was easy to feed and wasn't picky. Sometimes, when she ate something strange which had some medicine in it, Jiaonan never said another word as long as it didn't taste too different. She would eat whatever the auntie prepared. Jiaonan had never doubted the tonic soups that the auntie brewed for her. She thought that everyone in the family had the same soup and was very cooperative in drinking them up. After 4 years of conditioning, especially after Jiaonan gave birth to the triplets and did 40 days of confinement, she was taken care of too well. She didn't know the changes to her body for the past 4 years, but Zai Sheng did. Zai Sheng would still consider Jiaonan's actual situation before proceeding with their husband-wife life each night. That national doctor was also a man. After knowing Zai Sheng's and Jiaonan's situation, he understood what Zai Sheng needed and would write the menu and recipe carefully and seriously. Sigh. Aside from Jiaonan, who was unaware of these circumstances, everyone else in the family did. Even the auntie who worked for the Zai family knew about it. She was afraid of agitating Jiaonan. They had already kept this from her for 4 years. Would Miaojing expose her son at this moment? It was impossible. One would feel heartache over one's child. Miaojing, who was a little guilty, hurriedly shifted the topic that she had initiated and secretly scolded herself. Nan Nan, are you hungry? Eat more. I've already fed the 3 children. Let's send them to school after you've finished eating. Yes. Jiaonan was really hungry. Even if Miaojing didn't mention it, Jiaonan wasn't preparing to ill-treat herself. She was going to eat back the energy that she had lost yesterday. Mom, Mom. Bao was in a hurry to go to school but didn't want to urge Jiaonan to eat faster. The anxious Bao could only surround Jiaonan and kept calling her. Jiaonan had no choice but to speed up her rate of eating. Really, you are all my ancestors. The older one was like this, and so was the younger one. Xiao Nan suddenly had a feeling that she would never be able to escape the palms of these four people in this lifetime. They were going to keep a close watch on her. Chapter 2457, Moved Away, 1. Having finally sent the three children off to school, Xiao Nan received a phone call from Xiao Zijin the moment she reached home. Xiao Nan, where did mom go? I'm warning you that the Zai family can only do that much even if they are powerful. I don't like mom either, but she was the one who gave birth to us. If you dare to, I'll definitely report you to the police. Xiao Zijin, who had returned to the Qiao family's courtyard to take her clothes, realized that not only was there no one at home, but it even seemed dusty. Thinking about how Ding Ji couldn't have gone out in the morning. She had waited the whole morning to discuss the matter of her living allowance with Ding Ji. Xiao Zijin guessed that Chen Feng had all of the money that the Chen family gave him. Chen Feng didn't have much contact with the Chen family, but ever since Chen Feng returned to Pingcheng with her, he never seemed to lack any money. He would spend on whatever he had to. In fact, it even seemed like he was richer than his mom. Within a couple of days, Xiao Zijin started to wonder if the Chen family had already given Chen Feng money for him to settle his own affairs. As the Chen family's only grandson, the Chen family had really given all of their assets to Chen Feng in advance. Xiao Zijin thought that it was only right for her son to inherit the Chen family's assets. But Chen Feng was just like the Chen family. Even after getting the money, he refused to even mention it to his own mom. Because of this, Xiao Zijin was a little upset. Chen Feng lived in the school dormitory and only returned home once every fortnight. Chen Feng was Xiao Zijin's son. Since he was still underage and had no earning power, it was only logical for Xiao Zijin to give Chen Feng money to spend. But in reality, Xiao Zijin had been waiting to live a comfortable life by spending the Chen family's money. But Chen Feng was in cahoots with the Chen family, bringing Xiao Zijin's plans to an end. The 2 days in a fortnight when Chen Feng was at home, he would even go to the market to get ingredients and whip up a simple meal. Chen Feng's culinary skills were not amazing, but they were still better than Xiao Zijin's. Xiao Zijin lived comfortably in those 2 days, but there were 12 other days in a fortnight that her son wasn't home. Xiao Zijin couldn't possibly starve for 12 days just for those 2 days worth of food. This led to a series of problems arising. How was Xiao Zijin supposed to settle her meals while Chen Feng wasn't around? If she were to hire someone, it would cost money. Buying the ingredients would cost her money too. Money, money, money. This word loomed over Xiao Zijin. While battling against Ding Ji, Xiao Zijin emerged as the winner most of the time. In the end, Ding Ji could only hold it in and tolerate it so that she wouldn't fall ill and be hospitalized again despite knowing that Xiao Zijin was taking advantage of her. After all, Xiao Nan was the one paying for all of their expenses. If they were to analyze it, apart from expending more energy, Xiao Zijin was still leeching off Xiao Nan. Ding Ji's only victory was that Xiao Zijin had learned to wash clothes under her insistence, even though she had not learned to cook. After realizing that her meals would be a challenge after deciding to live with her son, Chen Feng, Xiao Zijin decided to return to the Qiao family's courtyard and have a discussion with Ding Ji about how they would split Xiao Nan's living allowance. Xiao Zijin knew that Xiao Nan gave Ding Ji quite a substantial amount of living allowance and had even increased it recently. She had expressed shamelessly that half of that living allowance was hers. Since she no longer lived in the Qiao family's courtyard, it wasn't right for Ding Ji to hold on to the money. She should have full control of that sum instead. Before coming, Xiao Zijin had already thought of how to convince Ding Ji to fork out even more money for her. After all, she was younger and had more expenses than Ding Ji. Ding Ji was a single elderly person. There was no way she would spend much on herself. It was much better to hand the leftover money to her so that she could spend it on some nice clothes. Perhaps, she would even meet a new boyfriend who would be a loving stepfather to Chen Feng. But as she neared the Chiao family's courtyard, Chiao Zijin suddenly changed her mind. She knew nothing about cooking and was not willing to learn. Women grew old quickly because they cooked often and faced smoke and oil. She hadn't found her second husband yet, so she had to protect her face and hands. So, what was the point of her mom handing half of the living allowance to her? It wasn't even enough to call takeaway every day. Once the money was gone, she would have to starve or eat into her own savings. If Chiao Zijin was willing to spend her own money, would she even need to be so calculative toward Chiao Nan and Ding Ji? The mention of money was what hurt Chiao Zijin the most. To her, everything revolved around one thing, money. Thinking about how she would have to do things she wasn't willing to do after taking the money, she realized that she would much rather forego it. Then, what was she supposed to do? She had a plan. After all, her son only returned once every 2 weeks. While her son was around, she would definitely have all 3 meals with her son. But when her son was back in school, she could return to the Chiao family's house. After dinner, she could return to her son's home to sleep. Even though it would cost her money to take public transport, Chiao Zijin had gotten herself a bus card. A trip on the bus would cost only 1 yuan. A return trip would cost 2 yuan at most. As compared to the money she would spend on cooking or buying takeaway, 2 yuan was nothing. She could afford it with the interest from her money sitting in the bank. 2 yuan was a measly sum compared to the dozens of yuan she would spend otherwise. What Chiao Zijin was even prouder about was that she knew that Ding Ji was alone with no one to accompany her after she had left to live with her son. That meant that Ding Ji probably didn't even have anyone to talk to. It was just as well. She would be able to chat with her mom and accompany her in case she got too lonely. She wasn't going home just for the free meals. It was to accompany her mother so that her mother wouldn't fall ill with no one around her. Having thought of such a perfect solution and excuse, Chiao Zijin could only praise herself for being too smart. At critical times like this, she could still rely on her brains to live. Who would have known that Chiao Zijin would be utterly shocked by the empty Chiao family's courtyard? Chapter 2458, Moved Away, 2. Initially, she thought that Ding Ji had simply gone out to get groceries and hadn't returned. But after an hour of waiting, she finally decided to take a look in Ding Ji's room. The moment she took a look in the room, she realized that something was wrong. There seemed to be fewer of Ding Ji's clothes there. Chiao Zijin could not help but ask her neighbors about Ding Ji's situation. It was obvious that the neighbors did not like an overbearing mother like Ding Ji. As such, they didn't pay much heed to Chiao Zijin either. It was incredulous that Chiao Zijin had to ask outsiders where her own mom had gone. After a round of mockery, the neighbor told Chiao Zijin that Ding Ji had left the Chiao family's courtyard with some luggage the previous day and had not returned. She had probably moved away. There was no point in asking them if Chiao Zijin really wanted to find her mom. Ding Ji was Chiao Zijin's biological mother. Even if Chiao Zijin didn't know that Ding Ji had moved away, didn't she have any way of contacting her? If the relationship between the mother and daughter had deteriorated to that state, why would Chiao Zijin still ask where Ding Ji was? What a joke! The situation was awkward and Chiao Zijin didn't know how to salvage it. She dialed Ding Ji's number, but a mechanical voice recording informed her that the phone had been switched off. What nonsense! It wasn't as though Chiao Zijin hadn't done something like that before. Normally, their family's phones were never switched off unless they ran out of credit on their phone cards. Upon hearing the mechanical answer, Chiao Zijin knew that Ding Ji was learning from her, just like how she had changed her phone number after going to the capital. In other words, Chiao Zijin had lost all means of contacting Ding Ji. She had no idea where her mom was, and there would be no way of her getting any living allowance from Ding Ji, much less take advantage of Ding Ji to get some free meals. Chiao Zijin felt like she had been punched in the face and sat in a daze in the Chiao family's house for a long time. More than a year ago, Ding Ji had faced such an experience after realizing that Jiao Dongliang had moved away after returning from the capital. The difference was that the person being abandoned today was Jiao Zijin. Ding Ji was Jiao Zijin's last hope of eating free meals. There was no way she would give up just like that. As such, Jiao Zijin made a call to Jiao Nan to provoke her so that Jiao Nan would let her know of Ding Ji's whereabouts. Ding Ji hadn't even told her that she was going to move away. Was there even a need to question it? It was obviously the work of Jiao Nan. Without Jiao Nan's help and support, Ding Ji would never have the ability or money to move away. 2 years ago, Jiao Dongliang had also been able to move away only because of Jiao Nan's help. Jiao Nan, do you know how annoying you are? Even though we're sisters, I've never met anyone more annoying than you. Jiao Zijin could no longer hold back her resentment and spat out her true feelings to Jiao Nan for the first time. Yes, she hated Jiao Nan. She hated Jiao Nan to death. If Jiao Nan had not been born, the Jiao family would have lived comfortably. As a second-generation official, she would never have faced so much stress and pressure. If her father had not left the military and had become a battalion commander, she might not even have married Chen Jun and treated him as her savior. Besides, it wouldn't have mattered even if she had indeed had an affair with someone of an illustrious family background like that. Chen Jun wasn't entirely innocent either. Would Chen Jun dare to get a divorce from her then? Perhaps, with a family like that, Chen Jun wouldn't even dare to start an affair. Jiao Nan had ruined her life, and yet, she wasn't even going to give her a chance to live? Jiao Nan was already living a comfortable life. Did she have to push her into a corner and watch her die before she would finally be willing to give up? How could there be such a cruel and vicious person like Jiao Nan in this world? What kind of person was this? Hearing Jiao Zijin's resentful words, Jiao Nan would have flown into a rage in the past. However, Jiao Nan did not have much of a reaction today. Why? Have you gone back to your nightlife and have been drinking and dancing through the night? Or did you eat something you shouldn't have? Why is your mind so muddled? You purposely said such cruel words to hurt me and provoke me just to vent your temper. Jiao Zijin, are you still a 3-year-old kid? Don't you think you're being very childish? Since you're calling me, it means that you know very well that she's moved away. After that scolding, Jiao Zijin's mind seemed to have cleared slightly. Jiao Nan was spot on. Because her son had returned to her side and she didn't need to spend any money on raising him, and she had even gotten rid of the burden that was Ding Ji, Jiao Zijin had indeed indulged herself by resuming her night life. Alcohol truly emboldened people. With the help of alcohol, she dared to say everything that she dared not say at all at other times. But she had gotten a good night's sleep and had eaten her breakfast too. As such, the effect of the alcohol from the previous night was not as strong anymore. Because of Jiao Nan's words, Jiao Zijin's face flushed red as she panted for breath, but she remained silent. After Dad moved away, she kept asking me for Dad's contact details and address, but I refused to divulge it to her. This time, I'm sure you understand that it wasn't my idea for her to move away. She was the one who wanted to do so. You said it as well. She raised me, so I agreed to her request and helped her move to a better environment. I respect Dad, and I respect her as well. She changed her phone number. If she wants to contact you, she'll send you a message. There's no use in asking me anything. I'm not telling you anything. It wasn't just her. Even Ding Ji had guessed that Jiao Zijin would return sooner or later as long as there were benefits to be reaped. Ding Ji had to bear the burden of loneliness alone and was even the subject of Zijin's schemes. Even a saint wouldn't be able to tolerate it, much less Ding Ji, who was extremely selfish. It hadn't been easy for Ding Ji to leave all this behind. It would be strange if Ding Ji took the initiative to contact Jiao Zijin. Jiao Zijin's grip on the phone tightened. You really? You forgave her? Otherwise, why would Jiao Nan care about their mom and treat her so well, allowing her to enjoy the same treatment as their dad? If Jiao Nan could forgive someone like their mom, shouldn't Jiao Nan forgive her sister and treat her well too? After all, it had been her mom who had ill-treated Jiao Nan all these years. She had nothing to do with it. Hope surged in Xiao Zijian's heart. With Jiao Nan around, would she still need to worry about Feng Feng's future? If Feng Feng made a name for himself, she wouldn't even need to worry about herself and would definitely be able to lead a comfortable and glorious life. Chapter 2459, Moved Away, 3. Forgive. Jiao Nan sneered. You've thought too much. It has nothing to do with whether I forgive her or not. I just don't want to care about it. Relatives generally keep in contact with one another and maintain good relationships. However, this will never exist in our family. To be clearer, Jiao Nan no longer cared about the Jiao family. She wouldn't care if the people in the Jiao family led a good life or not. She would just let them be. You could treat mom this way. Why can't you treat me the same? The person who was the meanest to you and had let you down the most was mom, not me. As such, why was it that Ding Ji could do so but she couldn't? Because she gave birth to me. If you were my mom, you can have the same treatment as well. However, you're not my mom, so you don't have the same treatment as her. Understand? Didn't Ding Ji and Xiao Zijian always attack her with this point? Alright, she wouldn't refute this point. She compromised and acknowledged it. Would that do? Was it okay? To Xiao Zijian, that was not okay at all. Jiao Nan was no longer suffering. What would she do in the future? Jiao Nan's attitude toward Ding Ji was the basis for her to play a role. If Jiao Nan no longer did anything, then she would really be left with no other choices. Take now for example. Jiao Nan was no longer calculative with Ding Ji. Upon knowing that Ding Ji wasn't living comfortably in the courtyard, she helped Ding Ji move house. Now, she didn't know where to go in order to find Ding Ji. What should she do? How was she going to settle her own meals? Everything was terrible. Jiao Nan, you did this deliberately. You deliberately want to go against me. Jiao Nan, you've destroyed my happiness ever since you were born. I really don't understand it. Why do you hate me so much? It's so difficult for me to finally lead a better life. You just have to show up again and again at this time. Jiao Nan, did I kill your entire family in your previous life? Why do you have to take revenge against me in this lifetime? Xiao Zijian vented all her dissatisfaction on Jiao Nan. Jiao Nan listened to Xiao Zijian's grievances and anger. After a long while, she said, perhaps, Ding Ji and I weren't in the wrong. It's you and I. Jiao Nan knew that Ding Ji's treatment of her was actually influenced by Xiao Zijian to a large extent. She didn't expect Xiao Zijian to think of her this way in her heart. Hate? Yes, Xiao Zijian hated her to the bones. As the one who was bullied all this while, Jiao Nan wanted to laugh when she heard Xiao Zijian's words. It was still that saying. Ding Ji had given birth to her. No matter how bad she was to her, she couldn't break away from their mother-daughter relationship. She couldn't ignore Ding Ji's life and death. Xiao Zijian was different. They were just sisters. Since it was so difficult to accept each other's existence, they could just stop keeping in contact so that they wouldn't torment and hurt each other. Xiao Zijian, you don't have to call again in the future. I won't pick up your calls. We are only sisters. Our relationship isn't as deep as you think. You hate me a lot. I can feel it. Coincidentally, I feel the same way about you. Let's be strangers in the future. I don't know you, and you don't know me. We won't disturb each other. Also, you want to know where Dad and Mom are. You don't have their mobile number, but they have yours. You can just wait for them to contact you. With that, Jiao Nan hung up the call. Jiao Nan wasn't surprised at Xiao Zijian's attitude and answer at all. She knew that it was impossible for Xiao Zijian to agree to cut off all ties with her from then on. if the relationship between her and Qiao Zijin were like 5 years ago, where Qiao Zijin was stronger and she was weaker. Without her saying this, Qiao Zijin would wish that she never had her as a younger sister. Even if they bumped into each other on the streets, Qiao Zijin would pretend not to know Jiao Nan and would only treat her as a stranger. However, when the situation between the two was reversed and Jiao Nan was stronger and she was weaker, Qiao Zijin would never allow herself to cut off ties with Jiao Nan since she now had a chance to lead a better life. However, it was no longer important what Qiao Zijin thought and what she was going to do. What was important was that Jiao Nan's mentality had changed. Regardless of whether it was Qiao Zijin or Ding Ji, no one would be able to affect Jiao Nan's judgments in the future. She had finally managed to get rid of her relationship with the Qiao family. Jiao Nan devoted herself wholeheartedly to her family. She sent the triplets to school and fetched them home. She also brought them to the playground. Of course, Jiao Nan would also bring her mother-in-law, Miao Jing, along, so that she wouldn't miss her grandchildren too much. "Mom, I'm thirsty." Bao was sweating profusely after playing. He sat next to Jiao Nan and wiped his face with his sleeve. However, Jiao Nan pulled him back. Jiao Nan first used her handkerchief to help Bao wipe his face clean. Bao knew how to enjoy life. He deliberately lifted his face higher so that it would be easier for Jiao Nan to wipe it. Then, he held a cup in his hand and took a sip of water. "Mom, when is Dad coming back next time? Do you miss your dad?" Jiao Nan smiled. She had long said that although the three children often argued with their biological father, the relationship between them was still good. Bao smiled. "I guess, as long as their dad wasn't at home, their mom could wholeheartedly accompany them. However, once their dad was home, this old man would snatch their mom away." Sigh. In the face of a father who would snatch their mother away from them, Bao felt helpless. Why weren't other dads like this? It was only their dad who was childish. He was even more childish than Sanbao. "If you miss him, I can call him tonight and ask him when he's coming back this time." After wiping the sweat off Bao's face, Jiao Nan poured another cup of water into Bao's cup. "There's no need to." Bao waved his hands. He didn't want to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice. He couldn't wait for his dad to stay in the army a while longer. If there was a call asking for their dad's return, even Sanbao would laugh at him for being stupid. "I know that Dad has a lot of important things to do in the army. We have Mom, Grandpa and Grandma by our sides. We're so blessed. Mom, don't call Dad. It won't be good if we disturb him." In the past year, the three children's chubby faces had become smaller and skinnier. They were said to have slowly lost their baby fat. As such, the 3-year-old Bao and Bao were gradually developing in the direction of a handsome boy. Chapter 2460, Playing with Them, 1. Upon thinking of how those girls in the small class liked to make friends with Bao and Bao, wanted to sit next to them, and wanted to sleep next to them, Jiao Nan couldn't help but touch Bao's handsome face and smiled. Her sons were too outstanding. Sometimes, as their mom, she was still troubled. Really, when a child asked her sweetly if she could be her mother-in-law. Jiao Nan was so shocked that she couldn't say anything. After chatting with the little girl for a while, Jiao Nan understood that she had watched too many dramas with her grandma. She knew that her mother would address her father's mother, who was her own grandma, as mother-in-law. Such a complicated relationship was quite difficult for a 3-year-old to understand clearly. What was funny was that not only did this little girl watch too many dramas and understand them, but she even applied what she had learned and asked Jiao Nan if she could be her mother-in-law. That shocked her quite a bit. Thankfully, other than this, the cute little girl didn't say or do anything too shocking. She still had a cute and ignorant expression, which calmed Jiao Nan's shocked heart down. After knowing such a situation happened in class, Jiao Nan was thankful for another situation. That was that after 2.5 years old, Dabeo and Erbao understood the difference between men and women and no longer liked to be kissed. Even if Jiaonan, the biological mother, wanted to kiss her son, she had to ask him before doing so. Only after getting her son's permission could she kiss him. Jiaonan respected her children's views to begin with, so she wouldn't reject their thoughts. Jiaonan also didn't need to worry that her sons would be insensible and take advantage of other girls. After worrying about her sons, Jiaonan had to worry about her daughter. Her sons were handsome and her daughter was pretty. She didn't know what kind of attitude those boys in the class had toward Sanbao. It was a pity that all this while, although she knew that Dabeo and Erbao encountered such a situation before, Sanbao was strangely safe and sound and didn't run into any trouble at all. At this time, Jiaonan was conflicted. Did the boys in class admire a different type of girl, or did they not have the foresight to want to be good friends with the cute and pretty Sanbao? However, there was no such situation. Seeing how happy Sanbao was every day and that she didn't mind this situation at all, it was good as this meant that there was less trouble. How would Jiaonan know that while Zisheng was complaining that Sanbao was a light bulb, he was very serious when it came to protecting his daughter? After Dabeo and Erbao had slight awareness of gender differences, Zisheng brought both sons into his study room and started a conversation between men and boys. It was unknown what Zisheng talked to Dabeo and Erbao about that day. Ever since then, Dabeo and Erbao had increased their awareness of wanting to protect Sanbao well. It wasn't that no boys wanted to get close to Sanbao and be friends with her, or that no boys wanted to bully her. It was simply because Dabeo and Erbao often surrounded Sanbao. Both brothers expressed that although their fists weren't as tough as their father's, they weren't soft either. They were going to protect Sanbao well and not let her be bullied by any outsiders, especially those boys in class who liked to surround her. They would take care of them well. With Dabeo and Erbao protecting Sanbao, Sanbao naturally didn't have any boys by her side who wanted to play with her. Would the sons taught by Zisheng be meek rabbits? They would at least be wild wolves. Mom, I'll give you the cup. I'm going to play with Dabeo and Sanbao. The sharp-eyed Erbao saw that there was a boy with a runny nose who seemed to want to get close to Sanbao. Erbao squinted like Zisheng and gave a lopsided smile. Which child was so gutsy to want to get close to their Sanbao? Had he asked him, the older brother? While Erbao was reciting this in his heart, his tone was exactly the same as that of Zisheng, the biological father. It was as if it was a direct copy and paste. Nan, sit here for a while. I'm going to buy a freshly cut fruit box. After playing with the three children for a while, Miaojing felt that she had become much younger. It should have been Jiaonan squatting by the side accompanying them. However, Miaojing insisted on signing up. When Jiaonan didn't allow it, she became unhappy. There was no choice. Jiaonan could only tell Miaojing that she shouldn't squat the whole time and that they would take turns. While one was guarding the children, the other would be keeping watch on the items. It was Jiaonan's turn to squat now. Miaojing was thinking that these items didn't cost much money. There was no need to keep watch over them as no one would steal them. At this time, she might as well buy a fruit box for her 3 grandchildren to eat. Mom, why don't you sit here for a while? I'll buy it instead. Don't think these things aren't valuable. I'm mainly afraid that others would touch them. You know the triplets' temper as well. If their things were touched, they would be unhappy and wouldn't be willing to change to new ones. Such a temper would be too tormenting. Miaojing hesitated for a while, but there was really no choice. The 3 children indeed had such a habit. All right, you can buy it. I'll keep watch here. I can still see the 3 children if I sit here. After getting Miaojing's consent, Jiaonan bought a fruit box and placed it next to Miaojing, letting Miaojing eat first. Then, she used the fastest speed to squat close to the 3 children so that none of them would get lost. Once Jiaonan got closer, Dabeo walked over. He bowed to Jiaonan and said, reporting to Mom, I took good care of Grandma. Grandma didn't feel unwell. She had been obedient. Report complete. Thank you, Soldier Dabeo, for your cooperation. The mission was completed well. Continue to work hard in the future. Dabeo was only 3 years old. However, he had already started to show his enthusiasm for the army. Zai Sheng had only brought him once to the army to experience it. Dabeo couldn't forget that experience and even brought back whatever he learned in the army back home and continued using it. Needless to say, everyone had to cooperate with him. Especially at times like these, Jiaonan told Dabeo silently that he had to take care of his grandma well. If his grandma felt uncomfortable, he had to pull her to the side to rest so that she would not feel tired. Dabeo treated this as a mission his mom handed over to him. He had to complete it with both quality and quantity. After being followed by his mom, Dabeo pursed his lips and gave an implicit smile. He only used his puffed-up chest to tell Jiaonan how happy and proud he was now.